Face front, true believers. This is Modular Media's No Prize Podcast, a podcast where we talk about Marvel Comics, movies, merchandise, and more. I am your host, Chris, a Boingo writer Gaston, and with me, as always, in the bullpen.
Representing the people who haven't read Dark Crisis number 0 yet, so please don't spoil it in the chat, the Vacuuminator.
And we have another guest, a special guest. We have Buster.
Hi, I'm back. I think I'm just gonna chill here for a bit, just because now I want to talk about I for a while I was just kind of I don't want to touch the MCU or Star Wars, but now I'm yeah, people are already complaining about my timeline, may as well watch it.
Pop in when you want to pop in.
You've embraced the multiverse of madness.
Yes.
This is an absolute Morbius moment.
Yes, absolute Morbius moment.
Oh boys, I can't wait to get morbed.
Alrighty. There's not a lot of news to talk about, but there are some things that we do need to address, we need to talk about, we need to bring up, and that namely is the passing of George Perez.
Yeah, George Perez passed away this Saturday at the age of 67 after a lengthy battle with cancer, which we've pretty much covered in its entirety on this show.
Yep. It's been really well documented. It's not a surprise that it's happened. It's just sad.
Yeah, it really hurt, especially considering we had lost Neil Adams only a week beforehand. Those two guys and Norm Brayfogle, who went a few years ago, they were the style guide of DC to me growing up. So to not have them around anymore is just crazy to think about. And Perez specifically is we knew it was coming for the longest time, but it still hurts because you hear all the time all these stories about how kind and giving the guy was, about how he cared for not only fans, but the characters he worked on. There were so many guys of his era who, to them, it was a job they worked hard at, but it was still just a job. Perez cared about characters like they were his family. He treated the Titans like they were his children. He treated Diana like Wonder Woman like she was his sister. The last issue of his Wonder Woman, the last page is literally a letter he wrote to Diana like she was a real person saying goodbye.
To me, George Perez has the same vibe as Chris Claremont.
Mm-hmm.
There were different things. Claremont was a writer, Perez was an artist, but they had that similar... They love what they're doing. They love the stories they're telling. They love the characters that they are forming and keep forming, and it sticks with them, you know?
Yeah, and as much as I'm more of a DC guy, there's things about Perez that just relate to comics across the board. He's drawn so many incredible, iconic images. I mean, man, just to give a Marvel example, you don't get Cap standing up to Thanos without George Perez.
Yep.
That's arguably the most iconic single panel of a Marvel comic ever, and he drew it.
And you don't, Perez also drew Crisis, didn't he?
Yeah.
The original Crisis.
He drew Crisis.
The definitive beginning of the event era of comics.
Mm-hmm.
If I may speak, I kind of have him a lot to thank because, him and Marv Wolfman, they created the new Teen Titans, which I consider, a major book that kind of, helped define teen superhero teams, which are probably my favorite subsection of the superhero comics genre.
It was Teen Titans and it was X-Men.
Yeah.
And I went back and, read those new Teen Titans issues, a while back, and they still hold up. They're still really good.
Yeah, those are two books that I really need to get to in terms of classic stuff. Is Claremont's X-Men and Wolfman and Perez's Titans.
You know, it's always an interesting thing. You know the Source Wall?
Yeah.
You know where it got first introduced?
Are you about to hold it up?
No, Teen Titans X-Men. It was a crossover between the Teen Titans and the X-Men.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But no, what I'm going to hold up is probably one of the most important books in Marvel and DC's canon, just period. It is Jla Avengers.
Yeah, because even though neither company will acknowledge the book anymore, Like if you read it and it feels like such a big focal point of everything those companies had done up to that point. Because I finally sat down and read this last night, stayed up till 2 a.m. and boy, am I ever glad I did.
It is, it to me it defines how these like how Marvel and DC are, their relation to each other, why they shouldn't interact in a consistent basis, but why they should be, why they need each other.
Yeah, and at the same time, it kind of gives you your cake and lets you eat it too, because that whole second issue is just like, here's this alternate history of Marvel and DC always interacting with each other that you never thought you'd get to see.
And it's a lot of cute things like, oh, Hawkeye and Black Canary get together. It's like, oh, that's cute.
It's wrong, but it's cute.
Yeah. Doctor Doom gets locked into the Source Wall. Yeah, that he would do that.
Deposing Doom.
Mm-hmm.
But
for just like the yearly get together in each other's universes, like that felt super classic comics to me because of the JLA and the JSA constantly getting together when they're in two different universes for the longest time.
But ultimately, this is this to me defines how I look at Marvel and DC. Marvel is a universe of problems with imperfect people trying to make it perfect. And DC is a perfect world with perfect heroes trying their hardest not to be assholes. Gods and assholes.
Yeah. Like, I love that little exchange between Superman and Captain America of, like, I often wonder if I do too much, and here I am criticizing you for not doing enough. Like, that's it to a T.
Yeah. Like, and that to me defines how I read Marvel and DC. Like, DC needs to be happy and chipper and perfect because that's what they are. They have Superman. DC has the Flash.
Like, my thing about the DC universe is Gotham is the one hellhole. Everywhere else is great.
Gotham and Bloodhaven.
Yeah.
Gotham and Bloodhaven are like...
It's not even like a hellhole. It's just kind of on hard times.
And even, like, then, like, you have, like, Batman, who's basically the shining hope, the savior, that, well, not, like, entirely, but, like...
Yeah.
Like, basically the people look up to in Gotham for, like, hope and inspiration.
But this also encapsulates a lot of just the big, dumb, goofy shit. The final issue is just a long, prolonged fight scene where Marvel and DC editorial are like, yo, you need to actually have this version of the character because we're changing it. It's like, that's dumb. I'm just going to have a bunch of different versions of the teams throughout history just show up and be cameos.
Yeah, and the plot and the entire plot is just a massive fetch quest.
Yeah, it's not a complex story. In no way is it a complex. This is not Watchmen. This is not V for Vendetta. This is not fucking Doom Patrol. It's
like a blockbuster.
It's a blockbuster, but it has a definitive thing it wants to say, not about people or culture or society, but about Marvel and about DC.
Mm-hmm.
That Marvel.
Really, that's all I can ask for a crossover book.
Yeah, Marvel is gross and disgusting, and it lets things like the Hulk and the Punisher happen, and Genosha.
Oh my god, the moment when they're being like, no interference, and then Batman just beats the fuck out of the Punisher.
Because that's what Batman would do. Batman would look at the Punisher and go like, you are everything I hate.
Yeah. And then, like, fucking you want to talk about Perez's art? Every single panel he can fit Plastic Man into. Plastic Man is doing something completely unique and goofy, and it's a highlight.
Plastic Man's a highlight. He's always been a highlight. But there's all brilliant little tiny character elements of, like, Batman and Captain America immediately going like, oh no, we're equal on footing. We need to work together because we're the only ones who are willing to work together.
That whole sequence of panels is like the most Kino moment in the whole comic.
Yeah, then their interactions when they're just like in the Batcave, oh, so good.
And like the first thing the Cap goes like, oh, we need help. Thing, can you help me out?
Yeah.
This thing's a bro.
Because Cap and the Thing are like totally drinking buddies.
Cap,
Yeah, they're bros.
but they're both New Yorkers. Like,
Uh-huh.
out of any Marvel hero, they are the most New Yorker. There's also like Cap handing off the shield to Superman, going like, "Hey."
Yeah.
And then Superman picking up Thor's hammer. It's just like,
or the little bit of pathos we get for Hal and Barry years after Crisis.
Not even just Hal and Barry, Jan and Hank.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Buster, I almost wanted to be mad that Supergirl didn't show up, but like, there's already so much happening in the book that I was fine with it.
Buster, since you haven't read the issue yet, basically, before they can like separate so they know what they're heading back into, because the universes are destroyed. Before they know what they're heading back into and fixing everything, the Grandmaster basically goes like, "Hey, you need to have all of the information," and basically shows all of the worst things to have ever happened to the JLA and the Avengers, including the death of Superman.
Ooh, that's harsh.
Vision and Wanda losing their kids.
Ooh.
Hank and Jan's domestic violence episode.
Hal dying in Crisis and Barry dying in Crisis and Hal going insane after Coast City is destroyed.
Yeah.
They have to look at all of that and then come to the decision, no, we need to fix things. We need that's awful things that happen, but we need to go back to it because that's real. And the moments that happened after that, it's like Hank going like, "Jan, I don't know what we're going back there, but I love you." And it's just like, Jesus.
Man, I can't believe Gokaiger ripped off Jla Avengers.
This is a good book. It is genuinely one of my favorite pieces of comic book, period.
Yeah.
I would very much like to own a copy now that I've actually read it.
Yeah.
I had like printed a bit more. Like,
yeah, I am incredibly lucky that I found this when I did, because I found this like 2011, 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And I just randomly ran across it.
You might
in, like,
still
a
find that
Barnes &
edition in a dollar bin somewhere, a little beaten up.
And there's always, my way.
Yeah. There's that one way that we have.
Yeah. Because there's so many comics and not enough money.
Yeah.
But also,
I wish I could do that with toys.
Yeah.
I mean, get a 3D printer.
Legit, if somebody wanted to just start tearing apart toys and CAD modeling in all the parts, they would be the biggest hero in the world.
I mean, dude, do it with accessories. You could probably make a mint. I mean, people 3D print Nerf blasters.
Oh.
Just circumventing Nerf and
boys.
No, dude, they like printing your own pieces aren't that bad.
Fair.
This is a tempting proposition. I'll have to
just the initial investment into a 3D printer. It all depends on the printer you get. Like a Prusa ain't the worst thing in the world. There's some others that aren't bad, but you got to know what you're getting and you got to know how to do it. That's the big thing.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Do we have anything else we want to say about Mr. Perez?
Hope your rest is easy.
Man was a goddamn legend, and he more than anyone we've lost recently, I think, deserves entrance into the halls of Valhalla.
Yeah.
It is up to us to remind people where these books came from.
Yeah.
Because Marvel and Disney and DC and Warner Brothers aren't gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's up to us to remind people. Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, George Perez, Neil Adams,
Norm Brayfogle.
Even just promoting like the new works that they inspired, like just like comics in general,
But
read Tom King's Mr. Miracle. It's a great tribute to Jack Kirby.
Yep. And read Silver Surfer Black. Brilliant, beautiful tribute to Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Let's get into the blockbuster.
And then read Rorschach, because apparently that's a tribute to Steve Ditko.
Oh,
Okay.
Did you not watch the Comic Pop episode of
I
Rush
haven't
yet?
gotten to it yet. I have not gotten to it.
There's literally an analog for Steve Ditko.
Oh,
Apparently, there was
shit.
like a Frank Miller cameo in one of them.
Yeah, Frank Miller's in it.
I might actually try and read that before I get to the episode thing, because I'm a few episodes behind on Comic Pop.
Yeah. You would probably enjoy the Frank Miller cameo, Buster, because he's a crazy man.
Okay.
And he gets arrested.
Yeah. Let's go.
But we need to talk about the things that happened this week. Doctor Strange 2.
Okay, so we're not going in chronological order.
No, we're this is the bigger thing, and we're going to talk about the next thing.
Fair enough. It was a movie. I liked it.
I really enjoyed it.
It was okay.
Should we just give like quick non-spoiler thoughts before we rehash last night's conversation? Because we did a pre-spoiler cast, on components last night. You'll hear it on Friday, folks.
Yeah.
And I think y'all's brief non-spoiler review will probably be better than mine, just because mine is good. Go watch it.
All right, I'll start us off as the baseline because I feel like that's what I'm going to end up being. This movie, I feel like more than any previous MCU movie is subsequent to the criticism of this feels like a theme park ride. This movie just starts and goes at an extremely fast pace and doesn't let up until the end. But there's still enough story crammed in there, and the overall the thing we thought was going to be the big thing from the marketing doesn't bog the film down as much as you'd be worried that it would. So at the end of the day, it's still a really satisfying story for Doctor Strange as a character that kind of sets up his arc going forward in the MCU. And the directing, as expected, is by far the most impressive aspect. There's a lot of little touches in this movie that really impressed me and made me feel like my purchase of a ticket had been justified. Overall, I would give it a strong 6 to a light 7.
Yeah. And to actually jump off that, yeah, the most impressive part of the movie is the directing. Like, there's so many neat little touches, and, like, there's a sequence that's like, yeah, it's like Evil Dead, but in superheroes, and it's, like, so cool. And it's, like, just, there's all these, like, the visual effects are, I argue, even crazier than the first film. And, you know, they really do play around with, like magic. Like, we talked about this last night, but, like, magic is more of a, like, it's a more of a wide, like, oasis of content that you can do with it than just here's a bunch of zappy zap. And you know, the cameos were okay. Like, we'll get into them. The story, like, it felt like there was something, like, I mentioned this already, but like there was good through line. I just feel like the payoff was a bit weak, but I get what they were going for.
What's your rating? Buster, what's your rating?
I don't like doing ratings. I'd probably give it a 6.5, and that extra 0.5 is mostly for the thing that happens in the third act that's very Evil Dead-y.
Fair enough.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is one of the best MCU films yet, but I also am a sucker for big, bombastic, comic booky storytelling, where it's meant to just be thrilling. It's not saying anything deep or impactful about the world. Very much like one of my favorite books. I have a prop now. I'm going to use it.
Dang it.
And I think this is probably the trifecta of here's the new tone for the MCU of how we are going to let these films play out, which would be Ragnarok, Eternals, this. Those three movies, I feel, are Kevin Feige trying to signal this is how the MCU is going to kind of function going forward, i.e., the story and the content is going to still be very on the track of MCU, but the way they tell the story is going to be much more up to the director, the cinematographer, and the writers on how they want to twist it.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I will say, for all the complaints I do have with this movie, like adaptation and comic bookiness is not a problem. Like it is, it feels like I'm like reading a comic. Like I will say, for all the problems I do have, like comic-y, it does feel like a comic.
And that's also just like, also by the way, rating 8 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10, like around that area.
Okay.
But here's the thing, spoilers. We're doing spoilers now.
Yeah, here goes spoilers.
Skip to when this isn't going to be on screen, and we'll be done talking about spoilers. All right?
Yeah, just browse the time.
For later viewers who are not watching live.
And if you're live, get fucked.
Get
because
fucked!
there's no one live.
Just someone just clicks on the stream and they find out, oh no, Scribblo Blibblo's in the movie.
Yeah, Scribblo Blibblo, my favorite Marvel character.
You joke, but that's probably the name of someone.
You know what?
There's a character called Elf with a Gun. Come on.
That's true. That's true. In this house, we stand Pizza Papa.
Pizza Papa.
Yeah,
Pizza Papa always gets paid.
Yeah.
Oh man, I would love if he just showed up as like if he just showed up as an enforcer for like the current Kingpin in a Spider-Man book.
Bruce Campbell for Tombstone.
No, Tombstone's black.
Oh. I don't know how I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's out.
Probably
He's,
because after he gets his powers, he's bleached white.
Yeah. But he's a black man. He is a black man.
Okay.
No. This is very much... You know the reason why Doctor Strange isn't a very popular comics book character? Yeah, this is why.
His stories are fucking weird.
The stories are weird, they're big and grand, and Doctor Strange rarely grows as a character. And it's always subtle when he does.
Because Steve Ditko had a very specific vision for it.
And realistically, while objectivism is never really a part of Stephen Strange's character going any forward, any other people writing him, he is very much seen as like the sage wise one of the Marvel heroes. He doesn't need to grow as a person because he's already wise and smart and good enough to actually deal with the problem.
And this whole movie is kind of about like, okay, but maybe you should grow a little. Maybe you should stop being such a pompous ass to everybody.
And like,
because you're getting in your own way.
That's like my major problem with the movie. I feel like they could have communicated that better, but it seems like a lot of people still really liked it. So I'm just like, maybe it's just a me thing.
It does feel a bit like a bookend. Like it's there at the wedding scene, and then it doesn't really get hammered home until that very last scene at Karmatage.
But they reference it in other smaller ways of like the Illuminati going like, our Doctor Strange felt like he had to do it all by himself, and then we had to kill him.
Yeah.
It's like little warnings of like, this is where your future will lie if you don't learn the lesson.
Which, by the way, I said it on components, but I just want to reiterate it here. Yo, Legends team. The Illuminati, you got a whole wave of legends sitting right there. Build a figure Xavier's chair. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But, and on your point of it being like just a theme park ride, it's fine.
Yeah. Like as much as I raise that as a criticism, I know that's what classic Doctor Strange is like. Like, one of my favorite things about this movie is that they let go of like the pretense of structure that magic in Doctor Strange has been presented with in the movies so far, of it being energy constructs, and they're like, no, magic is just magic. Whatever weird shit you need to do in a split second, he can do it with magic.
Fighting with music notes.
But there is a consistent visual language to kind of keep it connected. It's not like they just immediately threw out all the spells and circles that they did in the first movie and Infinity War and Saga and all those. It's just there's more now.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that music note scene, I feel like people are really underrepresenting that. I saw a couple posts today of people just being like, wow, Doctor Strange didn't really do a lot in this Doctor Strange movie. He didn't even win a fight. And I'm like, bro, he kicked the shit out of Evil Strange with music notes. And you know that scene was entirely made to cater to Danny Elfman's needs as a composer.
Oh, very much so. This,
as a Danny fan, did the soundtrack.
As a Danny Elfman fan, my name is fucking Boingo. That's what my internet handle is. It's Boingo. Oingo Boing. Danny Elfman. Right? Yeah. This was beautiful. This is the Danny Elfman I enjoy when he's a composer. This is the Beetlejuice. This is Nightmare Before Christmas, Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2. That's the Danny Elfman I love, because half the time when Danny Elfman gets hired, it's hey, can you sound like this generic piece of shit? Yeah, whatever. No. But like, he has his little choir. Because, like, you listen to the movie... Okay, Danny Elfman has this thing in certain compositions for film, where there is a very distant falsetto choir.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. You heard it in Willy Wonka, you heard it in Beetlejuice, and a bunch of other little places. It's in this. It's in here very prominently, and I'm just going, like, Danny got his choir back.
Like, you know there's moments, like... There's a sting for each member of the Illuminati that you know was like, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do this? But outside of that, I get the feeling that Sam Raimi was just like, so I want something that kind of sounds like this. I want something for a scene like this. And they want a scene where he's fighting with musical nuts. You get to have fun there.
Musical nuts?
No, God damn it.
But speaking of the Illuminati scene, the use of the 97 X-Men theme.
Okay, I'll admit I geeked out.
It's so good. Yeah. And that also just made me think, like, oh, this is meant to be more like the 97 Xavier, because that's what this Xavier felt like. He didn't feel like Fox Xavier.
No. Especially because, good God, Patrick Stewart has aged a lot since Logan.
Yeah, man's getting up there.
Yeah. Which also leads to what I would say a prevailing theory is that these are here for, all right, get it out of the system. Here they are. Now we're going to do something new.
Mm-hmm. Which is why we got Tom Cruise's Iron Man, right?
That would have been fun, but I'm glad it didn't happen.
I love that there's people still trying to be like, nah, he was in there and they just cut it out, dude. They totally just cut it out. Like, yeah, they cut out a Tom Cruise cameo, sure.
Yeah, like we got Krasinski as fucking Reed Richards. I'm fine. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say I'm not the biggest fan of that fan casting, but I do find it funny if this is gonna be the one-off appearance of Krasinski as Fan Forstic.
Reed Richards.
Reed Richards. I'm sorry.
They don't even call him Mr. Fantastic. It's just Reed Richards.
Yeah,
I'm fine with, you know.
Yeah.
If it's gonna be his only appearance in that role, then he gets brutally mutilated.
I mean, he doesn't get it as bad as freaking Blackagar Boltagon,
which was beautiful. It was
okay, I got spoiled on that. And
it's a good death, though.
I had the most hysterical laugh in a bit.
It's a like, for a big, fun, cheesy horror movie death, perfect.
Yeah, that's like things about to get read.
That's like
also, I love that Master Mordo survives that whole sequence. So in the multiverse, there's two different versions of Mordo that hate Strange running around.
Probably more, given all the
That's true.
The multiverse, yeah.
And we didn't see original Mordo at all in this movie. He might be the big bad of movie 3 or something like that. He's planning shit right now.
I feel like he was gonna be movie 2's big bad, but then they're like, we want to do this multiverse idea, so they're like, okay, you know what, we'll save you for movie 3.
Which, by the way, I'm still impressed that they managed to dupe us all into not realizing that Wanda was the villain.
I mean, that was a theory, like, very early on, and then the trailers kind of convinced everybody, oh, I guess it's not doing that.
I always understood I always thought from the marketing that it was going to be a team-up movie, and then the trailers made me think, like, oh, she's probably going to have as much screen time as the Illuminati. Like, it's probably going to be, like, a sequence where she helps out, like Spider-Man in Civil War. And then with that moment where she's just like, you never told me America's name, did you? And he's like, nope. And it's just like, oh, shit, here we go.
Yeah. That was also just, like, really good. I know some people are probably upset that Wanda went full bad. Like, it's fine.
She's done it in the comics.
Yeah.
There's precedent.
I
And also,
will say, I
she's
kinda
not dead. Calm down.
I will say, I kind of hope this is the end for this Wanda, if that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like
The Wanda we're going to see is going to be the contemporary Wanda. The Wanda that is always saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
I don't know. I still feel like the brutal way she murders people is like a bit. You're gonna need to do a lot more than sorry at this point. Like,
Hey, that's the way comic readers feel all these years later after House of M.
Yeah,
okay,
like that's
so
the point
Julie
with
is a
Wanda.
comic book.
It's basically she's basically just self-flagellating all of the goddamn time right now.
Which, by the way, Elizabeth Olsen literally said in an interview after the movie came out of like, no, I'm not dead. I'm not leaving the MCU until I get to say Wanda's most iconic line.
Which is no more mutants.
No more movies. All movies are gone.
That's the last line in the MCU. No more movies.
Yeah, just like it doesn't even just disappear in MCU movies. Just every movie in existence just disappears, and then it just be like
It's all comics now. This was the grand plan all along.
Read books, you fuckheads. No, I do think though that my little theory of what the next movie's gonna be is kind of likely to happen because it's one of the more memorable Doctor Strange stories that happened recently. It is a good visual. It lines up with a lot of other themes that's been going on with MCU, which is the death of magic.
Yeah, I could see that. Though it would really suck for them to kill Ileana right after introducing her.
Ileana was actually like a main hero in that and survived till the end.
I read it, I know. I'm just making this joke because it's right there. But no, that would make sense, especially with how Mordo was like stealing people's magic in the end credits of the first Doctor Strange movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I also would love
like
to see El Magnifico.
Also, I feel like we're not talking about like the most unsung hero of this movie. Well, first was Pizza Papa, but then the second was America Chavez.
America Chavez is great.
Yeah,
She's pretty good. I look forward to seeing her in more things where she gets to be more of a hero.
Yeah, because this is a good start for her.
This is a good origin story.
Yeah.
But I won't be satisfied until she's on screen with Haley Steinfeld calling Kate Bishop princess.
Yeah, that's oh man. Like honestly, I still need to see Hawkeye, but the little clips I've seen of Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop make me consider wanting to watch it. Even though I don't like the Jeremy Renner Hawkeye.
He improves massively in that show.
Okay, fair. Maybe but the only clip I've seen of him is like was him pissing on the toilet with the Thanos is right meme. That's great. That's funny.
That moment feels a lot more impactful in context.
Yeah,
I know, but it's just like out of context, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, no, it's just good. It's good. It's solid.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anything else that needs to be mentioned. Zombie Strange, Best Strange.
Yes,
Zombie Strange was Kino.
That legit improved my rating. The effects they use on like the Benedict Cumberbatch's face, his awakening scene with the little skull. Oh, it's like and then he controls the dead. It's like the most cool.
It's legit just a thing out of Evil Dead. It looks like it's straight out of Army of Darkness.
Speaking of a thing out of Evil Dead, somebody pointed out to me this morning. Pizza Papa beating himself up, that's a homage to Evil Dead.
I pointed out to you
where his
last night.
hand turns against him. Did you? I feel like that was...
Yeah, you did that.
I don't remember that. I literally have no memory of that, but I'll accept it given that Buster's backing it up.
I remember.
Okay.
So you don't have to.
Okay. I'm the one who does the Doug Walker jokes.
You did it to him.
I had to do it to him.
Yeah. We haven't talked about your boy Wong, still Sorcerer Supreme all these years later.
Honestly, I would love if Wong just stayed a Sorcerer Supreme and Strange just kind of became like the Sorcerer Supreme's knight of just like, can you just be the badass to fight this thing? Yeah, I can be the badass to fight this thing. Here you go.
Yeah, because it also retroactively explains all the cameos Wong has been getting, and it allows you to continue giving Wong cameos as a way of having a magical person show up and do things without having to pay Benedict Cumberbatch's probably ridiculous salary.
Yeah, but also it lets another non-white hero just kind of be a more prominent member of the universe.
Yeah, like honestly, like Wong and Shang-Chi hanging out was like so fun in that movie. So
yeah,
but like also I like how they kind of characterize it. It's less of like Wong is I'm the Sorcerer Supreme, you need to follow me, and it's just more like, hey man, I'm the Sorcerer Supreme technically. I know you have just as much power as me, but like, can you just like follow along for all of them, please?
Can you do this for bro's sake, please?
Also, I love the sequence when he's like, they're battling Wanda and he's like commanding everyone. He's such a great commander.
Oh yeah, no.
Fortify your minds.
God damn, that's the way he moved though was just, it wasn't hilarious. It was just like, damn, I want that as a GIF.
Yeah.
Fortify your minds. Perfect.
Just such great delivery.
That should be a clip used in video essays for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really needs to be. I know a lot of video essayists hate the MCU, but come on, let's make an exception for Wong.
But no, Doctor Strange 2, good, if not great, depending on your predilection for Doctor Strange storytelling.
And boy, we got Clea. Clea's in the MCU. It happened.
And they're skipping the awkward bullshit.
Which makes me think that they might be, potentially, maybe, prepping us for a future without Strange like we currently have in the comics. Like, maybe that comic run is actually a backdoor justification to do that in the MCU one day. This is me turning into a conspiracy theorist. Let me get my tinfoil out.
That is pretty accurate with how, like, comics are treated by these major publishers. It's like, these major companies, it's like, hey, give me ideas for extra movies. And then
they finally got to Natalie Portman 4, and people were theorizing when that started that was justification to do something like that when Chris Hemsworth gets tired of being in the MCU.
But Chris Hemsworth still hasn't said anything about being tired of being Thor.
Yeah, they might just be co-fours at the end of that movie. Who knows?
I really hope so, because I really, honestly, Thor's my favorite MCU character.
Follow me on this.
Ragnarok. He's gone on such a great journey.
Follow me on this, because Thor becoming Odinson in the comics was a little tired. It wasn't great. It was okay. Like, it was fine. What if Thor lets Jane Foster be Thor, and him being the douchey Jim Bro he is, changes his name to Thunderstrike.
God damn.
They are. It does, like, visual similarities. You're not wrong.
I just love the dumb theme as Thunderstrike for a Thor character. It's great.
It would be. I would want that. I don't think they will, but I want it.
Like, let the world of Thor, let the movies Thor kind of feel like thrash and heavy metal album covers.
Yeah, I mean, like, Ragnarok's already leading into that, so
yeah. And let Doctor Strange kind of be like prog rock, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Legit, I'm a little sad now, because if you just had King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard as the backing music for a Doctor Strange movie, it'd be perfect.
There's always movie lack of licensed songs in this movie. I mean, granted, it's a magic movie, but like I kind of like that. Because usually most blockbusters I see have like a licensed song here and there.
The only kind of pre-existing music in this movie was from the music scene.
Yeah.
Because it was taking pre-existing compositions.
Yeah. Even then, they're like public domain ones. So.
Yep. No, this was good. I enjoyed it. We enjoyed it in descending order that we are stacked upon each other.
No, I think I enjoyed it more than Vac, to BH.
By the way, good movie, and the spoiler talk is over. No more spoilers for the people who are coming back.
Now let's spoil Moon Knight.
Alright, you
Moon Knight.
crazy.
He wants a hug.
Literally, that's all he wants. We're not even kidding.
Oh, man.
Uh,
No, this was a good finale. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, but it also sets up a good season 2.
Good season 2. And the showrunner has flat out said to not do a season 2 would be a waste in his opinion.
I'd be glad if he came back because he did a really good job.
Especially because, like, really good adaptation of a super obscure hero in this. Because Layla's dad is a hero from, like, the pre Stan Lee era of Marvel, from, like, the Timely Comics era.
Mm-hmm.
And so they gave that identity to Layla in this.
Yep.
And it's really awesome. The only thing I didn't like about it was they never said her superhero name in the episode. I had to find out through a fucking pop vinyl.
Yeah, because... Hey, Buster, you'll actually be able to tell us into this information because we're dumb white Americans. What are Egyptians considered? Are they Arab?
That depends. I think it's like
Okay.
Middle East. I usually go with Middle East.
Okay, well, we got our first Egyptian hero.
Yeah,
With Layla being Red Scarab.
Scarlet Scarab.
Scarlet Scarab. I apologize.
And, like...
I've been seeing pics about her floating around. She looks cool. I hope they do more of her.
I kind of wish she had some kind of mask or apparatus thereas, but it works well enough as a costume. And I just love how hyped Tawedit is to get in on the superhero game, too.
I hope they stick around. Like, I hope they just stick around and are side characters in Moon Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Just let that happen. I know it's not comic accurate, but just...
First episode of season 2 should literally be Layla's like a popular superhero, and Marcus just happy being a house husband, and then Tawedit is like, but Khonshu's still coming in and out all the time. Don't you guys see that? And they're like, what?
Oh, was I not supposed to say that? And Khonshu goes like, no, you are not supposed to say that.
You fucking hippo!
And no, and like there's a lot of things I would enjoy with the season 2, but big kaiju Egyptian god fight, that was fun.
Oh, that was the best part of the episode. I literally flipped out when that happened.
It was good. It was fun. Also, they never
all the build up to Amit, worth it. Amit's a cool villain.
Amit was fucking great.
Yeah, I love her big long hair that almost acts as like a second tail.
No, it turns into a tail.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
She was great. Very threatening. Very, very just fun character to see. And Mark and Steven working together just on this dot. They're functioning. They're working together. They remember
We're
everything
now.
Yeah.
And I love the whole the message that we finally come to at the end of this show of like, no, everybody telling you you're broken and you need to be fixed is full of shit. Your mental condition is as much a superpower as flying and super strength. You can use it to your advantage. Yeah.
Which I think is a thing I've seen a lot of DID systems talk about online because they pop up every once in a while when I'm floating through TikTok. Is they say like, I'm not what I like. They go through the thing of like saying like they're not broken. Their brain works differently, and if given the opportunity, they can thrive and survive just as well as anybody else.
Yeah, which is what you get here.
Yeah.
And I love that Steven is the one, the expert in ancient Egyptian shit is the one that strikes the new bargain with Khonshu.
Yeah. But also, Steven goes full Mr. Knight. Everyone complaining, oh, he doesn't look like, he's not acting like Mr. Knight in the comics. Like, no, he is now a gentleman fighter.
Steven kicks some ass in this episode. It's cool.
It's like watching the Young Bucks in one body.
Yeah, though I gotta admit, I wasn't super into, like, I know actors and contracts and all that. I wasn't super into, like, Mark constantly having his mask off during the final scenes.
Yeah, It's a thing I think we just have to get used to.
Yeah. I did enjoy, however, that like the whole show. I've been expecting. All right, when's Haro getting a supervillain costume? Because he's an Avatar too. When's that happening? Never happens. They just beat the fuck out of an old man at the end of this.
Yep. Though we don't see it, which is great because Mark blacks out, wakes up. Haro is bloodied and beaten on the ground, axe to his head. What happened?
And Layla's like, what the fuck happened? And I blacked out.
And they're like, something's going on, we need to look at it, but right now we have bigger things. And they deal with the thing, they do it all. It's nice. It's nice.
Mm-hmm. Now let me ask you this before we move into the Finn.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like the actual scene where we get the little girl looking at Layla and being like, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" Do you feel like that was too gratuitous? Because I feel like that's something people would complain about.
People have been complaining about it. I don't think so, because I think it's just like, it's just looking at it all. It's just like, oh shit, are you a hero if you're here?
I feel like it's quick enough that. And we spent enough time building Layla as a character that it felt justified there in a way that the girls get it done scene in Infinity War or Endgame didn't.
Yeah. I think it's the equivalent of like, so it'd be like having a superhero fight going down in fucking Florida and you go like, whoa, we have heroes in Florida now?
Yeah.
But it's just hopeful and optimistic. It's just like, oh cool, there's an Egyptian hero.
Yeah. The only thing I would change about it is have the little girl ask for a code name and say her fucking code name there.
And you know what? Fine. People don't like the "Are you an Egyptian hero?" line. Fine. Change it up. Are you a hero? Yeah. Who are you? Scarlet Scarab.
Layla's like, and Toilette just goes, oh, the Scarlet Scarab. And she's like, really? Okay. But there's no scarlet in the costume, it's gold.
There's some on the dress.
Yeah.
Genuinely fun. Just genuinely good.
Yeah.
I like how they're just... Because we're not going to see Layla often.
No.
Layla is not going to show up in an Avengers movie.
Well, neither's Mark. There's not going to be another Avengers.
But you know what I
movie,
mean? She's not going to show up in a big team-up movie.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have her around as a hero. It's just like, there are more heroes coming every day in the Marvel Universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. It's fun. It's nice.
She could get a cameo in Midnight Suns.
Oh, she could be in Midnight Suns. Nothing says she could be.
I love how we're still acting like Midnight Suns is definitely happening when we've only had Blade confirmed.
Blade?
Like the video game Midnight Suns. Where's that?
That's true. We need an update on that.
But then we have to talk about the mid-credit scene.
Which is ripped right out of the comics gloriously.
Of Arthur Harrow sitting in a psychiatric ward, being checked out by a mysterious man speaking Spanish.
And as soon as I saw those gloves, I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. As Arthur Harrow is being pulled out and shoved into a limo.
By the way, key reminder, the deal Steven struck with Khonshu in the episode was, we defeat Haro, you leave us alone. We're done.
Oh my god. Steven and Mark didn't finish the deal.
Yeah.
There's
the loophole.
There's the loophole. They didn't finish the deal. Because
But they defeated him, so Khonshu left them alone, and they woke up back in their apartment, and hey, both the goldfish are back. Isn't that nice?
Yeah. Nice little metaphor. But in the limo, Arthur sees fucking Khonshu and goes like, oh, fuck me, what is going on? And he goes like, did you really think Mark and Steven were... You really think I cared? Like, sure, they're useful. They're good. But, like, do you really think that's my really big gun? No. Knock, knock. I wanted you to meet my avatar, Jake Lockley. As he pulls out a gun and goes like, bang.
Your angel of death awaits.
I know some people are saying like that one scene in episode 5 isn't Jake because it's now confirmed that Jake speaks Spanish. I still think it's Jake.
Mm-hmm. I also agree with the people who are theorizing the scene at the end of episode 2 where it establishes they're in Egypt and the body is sitting drinking is Jake.
I don't think it was Jake when we open up the scene. I think Jake got him there. Who's in the scene is Mark. But that's gonna be fun to see Mark and Steven have to deal with Jake fucking Lockley.
Yeah, especially because he seems like such a hard ass.
But that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. Overall, would you suggest people watch Moon Knight?
I would suggest people watch Moon Knight. Don't expect it to be the most amazing, most Marvel-rific thing ever. Expect a solid season of television.
Yeah. With a little bit of mind-bending, but not as mind-bending as the Lemire run.
Yeah. And, like, some interesting stuff to say about mental health.
Yep.
By the way, Boingo, I tried reading the 2006, like, the first, like, what people call definitive modern Moon Knight comic.
Yeah.
Couldn't really get into the artwork, so...
It's very detailed mid-2000s. Lemire run.
Lemire run. 2015, right?
Yes. Just okay. Do not touch Michael Bendis.
I know. I've been like looking out like where to like read it and just like.
Yeah, the Lemire run. You'll know the Lemire run because it has a very chalky textured coloring, and all of the covers are very striking.
And
yeah,
despite
it's the one with
despite our opinions of him as a person, the Warren Ellis run is still worth checking out just because like people loved it at the time, and it's where Mr. Knight comes from.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll consider each.
Here's how people have been going on about like, oh, you can't really separate the artist from the art, and I agree. But when the art is really good and you can't tell who the artist is, it's not necessarily separate it, but like understand the context. Read it anyway so you can understand the context.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to read fucking Harry Potter to know J.K. Rowling's piece of trash and her stories shit. You don't need that. But Warren Ellis' stories still tend to be good and still referenced and understood and analyzed.
People still like Castlevania.
His show was pretty good.
In the same way, Frank Miller. Like, not all Frank Miller stories, but to understand and recognize where comic books have been, will be, and have come from, to read Frank Miller is an important aspect of understanding.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm not saying you, Buster, have to read.
Not me. I know. Yeah, I just like.
It's it's a general. Frank Miller is a contentious subject. Good example of what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get into the comic books.
Let me put it this way. Read Dark Knight Returns is like reading Warren Ellis. Reading Holy Terror is like reading J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured.
So comics, random order like they always are. So first things first, we have Giant Size X-Men Thunderbird.
This is Goat Rosswag Kino, the comic.
Oh, fuck it. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. Amazing. This is the return of John Proudstar Thunderbird.
Written by Nyla Rose with help from Steve Orlando.
For people who do not know who Nyla Rose is a Native American trans professional wrestler.
Who is the only ever two-time AEW Women's World Champion.
Yep.
Even Kino or?
And basically this is a reintroduction of the character and a recentering of the character from a white man's very sympathetic and understanding point of view of the Native experience to the actual Native experience.
Yeah. Like this feels like the difference between most people who have written Sam Wilson and a black guy writing Sam Wilson.
Like, a white guy can write Sam Wilson pretty damn good and get a lot of it right, but when a black guy truly understands the experience that Sam Wilson has gone through, it's 10 times better. Same thing with Black Panther. Same thing with Miss Marvel. Same thing with a lot of minority characters. If you know the experience, you're better at writing it.
Yeah, I mean, just comparing his original costume, which you see on the cover here, to the new costume he has in the book, it's like night and day.
And the new costume, I don't fuck off anybody who says the new costume's ugly. New costume's fucking amazing.
The new costume I want as a Legends as soon as possible. It looks great.
Because the new costume...
The new costume's on the cover, right?
No, that's the old costume.
Hang on, I'll get you a screen cap of the old costume real quick.
The new costume.
Okay.
Or, yeah, blah, 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 words.
Because basically, it was in the new costume was redesigned by a native artist. They didn't do the majority. They didn't do the art on this book. They just redid the character design. But yeah. It's really nice that basically they were like, hey, native creatives, can you actually help us make a well-rounded native character? For once, you know?
Which seems to be like a renewed thing in media right now. Like G.I. Joe, they're about to release a new figure of the native character Spirit, and they actually had some Native American celebrities collaborate on that figure's development.
Yeah. But looking at the reasons why, also the in-universe reasons why, is the turquoise is very... turquoise, which is what Thunderbird's new costume is, majority color-wise, is representative of pride and, like, fighting spirit kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant to be, like, a warrior color, and he's trying to be a warrior for his family and the people he came from, as well as Krakoa and all that kind of stuff. And that's something really kind of interesting because, again, the X-Men are all on one fucking island and all that kind of stuff. Beautiful line. Beautiful line. I love it. 2 white men make a reservation and call it freedom.
Mm. Yeah, that was great.
That's a good fucking line.
I love that we brought him back and kept his original character thing of just being like, nah, mutants, the way mutants act is kind of bullshit.
Yeah, it's basically like, here's the thing. Magneto went through the Holocaust and got out of it and was like, fuck humanity. Thunderbird was still technically in his Holocaust.
Yeah.
Because America still continuously mistreats and shits on native populations.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's a reason Thunderbird is much more fuck y'all.
Yeah. Also, like, just a little thing about the comic overall. I do like that we move away from having him use knives as his primary weapon, because I feel like that and bow and arrow is, like, it's accurate, but it's also become a very stereotypical thing for Native American characters, and he mostly uses his hands and his strength in this book, which I feel is much more of, like, an encouraging thing about the character.
Yeah. And here's the thing, they could have just made, like, oh, we have a brand new native character, he's round off the edges and make him really palatable for everybody. They're like, no. He is an angry man. He is a justifiable anger. That doesn't take away him being a hero, though. Yeah,
he's like a Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
When Guy Gardner's being written by people that don't hate Guy Gardner.
Right. I cannot wait to see more of him. He's going to be showing up in X-Men Red, which is going to be fun. Because that's also the team with Magneto. And I'm just going like, yo, parallels?
Uh-huh. One last thing. Am I just a stupid white guy, or had you never heard the term apple before either?
What?
Am I just a stupid...
it sounds like such a specific kind of, like, cultural term that wouldn't have reached our ears, you know?
Yeah.
But that took me a second to understand, too.
Yeah, because it's just, like, one line in the book, but it threw me to the point of where I was like, I should probably Google this real quick, and I did.
Yeah. Did Buster leave?
Buster left, they may return.
Okay. their book's a little bit later. So if we get
Okay.
to it and they're not here, yeah, we'll just circle back to it. So I read Spider-Man 2099 Exodus Alpha.
What the fuck is this?
It's like a little mini event for 2099.
Okay. Is it like a 2099 anniversary?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara is trying to deal with this evil organization group. He's dealing with stuff. He's trying to get some information, and he goes to this information data tower, which is currently the body of Ghost Rider 2099, who is like an AI construct. And they fight some stuff. It's big. It's cyberpunk. It's fun and goofy.
Nice.
Yeah. If you like them, you like them. You know. Hey, issue 6 of World of Krypton happened. Why don't you tell me about that?
Yeah, it's the final issue of this book that I feel like nobody has talked about at all except for me. I liked it. It was good, high melodrama, blibbity blobbity bullshit. It doesn't exactly get you to the shooting Kal-El off moment, but it acts as like perfect setup for why that happens. Because basically the last panel of this, the last sequence of this issue is Jor-El coming home after having put Zod in the Phantom Zone, and him being like, "There's no hope left. We can't save the planet anymore, or it's all gonna end. We have to just wait out our final days." And Laura's like, "But I found this planet. You think we could build a rocket?" And he's like, "Oh shit, that's a great idea." Kind of giving Laura a little more to do in Superman's origin, which I like.
Yeah.
Also, there's like just a really good sequence at the beginning of this where like after a dance recital, the other L family is walking home and they run afoul of a riot that's happening, and like Kara almost gets trampled to death, and she's like 12 years old. So I had a heart attack.
Oh.
Yeah. But overall, this was a pretty good book. If you're the kind of Superman fan like me who just eats up Krypton lore like no tomorrow, this is definitely worth checking out. If you're a casual Superman fan or a hardcore one who thinks Krypton lore shouldn't matter at all to Superman, you can probably skip this. This isn't. I don't feel like this is going to be super important in terms of like what's going on with Superman comics in the next couple of years. I feel like this is just a story that this writer and artist wanted to tell, and it happened to be able to fit onto DC's slate.
Here's the thing. I am very much a believer in the Superman's origin should only be about like 8 words.
Yeah.
All-Star Superman origin is like the only origin you really need.
Yeah, and I agree with that argument, but also I'm a sci-fi nerd and I enjoy seeing the lore fleshed out.
Fair enough.
I have my cake and I eat it too, sir. The opening 10 minutes of Man of Steel was the best part of that movie.
So, Buster ain't here, but I read Street Fighter Udon #1.
Those are words.
Okay. Udon is a group, publishing company, that basically has the rights to the Street Fighter video game license. So they made a comic that basically kind of it fleshes out the story of the fighting games.
Okay.
Really good characterization. They feel really fleshed out, more so than the games that they come from. The art's really good. It is very early 2000s comic book art. But it's good. It's not bad. It's really solid. It also very much feels like the early days of really trying to use computers to do layouts.
Oh.
The best way to describe it is like you will look at a panel in the art and it feels like the word balloon is taped on.
Oof.
Like it feels like it's floating like an inch or two above the panel.
Kind of like how early digital coloring animation is odd looking compared to everything else.
Kind of, to an extent. it's very noticeable. Like, it looks like the art was done on paper, the balloons were done digital.
Huh.
You know what I mean? It's that kind of like, okay, kind of vibe.
Yeah, I think I can kind of picture it.
I mean, you could go look at a page and see what I'm trying to talk about.
I could definitely do that. That is a thing that is within my power to do.
Are you doing it?
I am now.
I have mind control powers. That's what I have. I have mind control powers.
Whatever you need to sleep at night.
Who says I sleep at night?
I don't, because I have watched you stay up later than me, sir. God damn, there's like 1 billion fucking Street Fighter comics. How am I supposed to find this one?
I put a fucking link in the chat.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
When? When was this?
Earlier. When Buster asked for it.
Oh god, you're expecting me to scroll?
No, it's like only a few things up. It's a link, you dumbass.
This is my favorite part of the show, by the way. The weekly Boingo calling me a dumbass segment.
You absolute Nimrod.
You pillock.
You troglodyte.
Oh yeah, this ain't great.
But like the art's good.
Yeah.
It's just the composition. It's like the composite of the panel as a whole is. It is early. We're trying this out and we're figuring it out.
Yeah, this looks like an American comic trying to copy anime style out of like one of those How to Draw Comics the Manga Way books.
Yeah. It's good art though. It's not bad. It's not like we
Yeah,
totally misunderstand anatomy.
You look at this and it's of a certain era.
Yeah. But I mean they're also drawing characters who are in an anime style.
Yeah.
So it's understandable. But yeah, no, I read it. It's good. I'm gonna keep reading it.
Okay.
Ba, 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 ba. Ba, da, 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 da.
So I read my husbando's first issue of his new miniseries.
You mean the person I often accidentally just look like?
You say that, like, the reason I grew a beard is because when I was a kid, I thought Obi-Wan had the coolest fucking beard in the world.
Well, it's partially just, I'm talking about, like, my fucking hair does the kind of...
Yeah. You lucky fucking bastard.
What's that? While I put my fingers through my hair?
On this comic, this is a lot of, this is apparently going to be like Obi-Wan reminiscing on different times in his life, like just before the events of Episode 4. Because it opens with a very well done sequence of old man Obi-Wan preparing for a sandstorm to roll in over his hut, and just like hunkering down on the inside and being like, I'm gonna catch up on my journaling. I'm gonna write down some memories. And then we flash back to pre-Episode 1 Obi-Wan, back before he was even apprenticed to Qui-Gon, and basically a little mini-adventure with baby Obi-Wan trying to convince a friend of his not to run away from the temple because they keep having visions of their family being in danger.
Mm.
And he does not succeed, and eventually comes back at the end of the night, and Yoda is the one that's there at the temple steps to greet him. Gone she is. I tried to get her to stay, but in your youngling clan kept you safe, she did. Watched over you. Do you know who will keep you safe now? Obi-Wan Kenobi, you. Think on this, you will, tonight, while this wisdom is still new in you. And it's basically, this is when Obi-Wan sort of started closing himself off, like you see him as in Episode 1, where he's trying to be the perfect know-it-all Jedi, and this is kind of setting up that relationship, and then they imply that the next issue is going to be an adventure with him and Qui-Gon. So it's a solid issue. This makes sense to be an anthology series. I hope that the final issue will be some kind of tie into the Disney Plus show, but I have no idea if they'll be able to do that based on timing and things.
Right. I'm just waiting for the issue where he goes, there was this one time where I got really fucking blocky and like looked like a toy. It was weird. Like I enjoyed it, but like, you know.
I think they're gonna keep the same art style for the whole thing. But like,
and there was this one time I looked like a badass anime dude and I fought Grievous.
there should be an issue with just him and like Ahsoka and Anakin bonding during the Clone Wars. That should just be an issue.
Yeah.
I know that was most of that show, but like I just want a wholesome issue. Give me.
No, you get pain and melodrama.
Yeah.
But overall, you would suggest it?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Star Wars fan who likes the auxiliary content, you're not going to go wrong with this. This is a pretty solid start.
Hey, tell me about One Star Heroes, issue 6 of 6. Squadron.
All right. By the way, you were right. That moment in Jla Avengers where Hawkeye calls the Justice League Squadron Supreme Wannabes is fucking hilarious. But One Star Squadron issue 6, the final issue of this series, is pretty good. It's a fine little issue that kind of wraps up all the threads, gives a little bit of pathos, and it kind of doesn't give everybody like a huge send off. Like a lot of the obscure heroes that were in this book as side characters are kind of just back in more shitty jobs. The characters that matter, that have a fan base, like Red Tornado and Power Girl, we kind of set their characters straight, and they start going in better directions. Like there's literally a whole scene of Power Girl and Red Tornado at a diner being like, hey, I was kind of an asshole back there. Yeah, so was I. Are we still friends? I guess we are. I kind of needed to have that reminder of who I was, though, so thanks. And we get a bit of resolution as to where the ending of the last issue sent that character and where their life has gone. And it's overall a pretty solid, satisfying ending. And overall, I really enjoyed and would recommend this book if you're a fan of any of these characters, if you're a fan of the idea of political commentary for superheroes. And it never gets too preachy. I'm actually really impressed with this book because I think back when this book started, I said like I have a love-hate relationship with this writer because oftentimes his books will be like, I like what you're saying, but you're saying it a little too loud for me. This never gets too loud. This is a good, solid series, and it's definitely worth checking out. Especially if you're into stuff that's in continuity but isn't a massive effect on continuity.
Nice. Sounds good. We both read Marauders issue 2.
We sure did.
This is continuing. It's just, oh no, they don't want us to know this information, but we're gonna have to deal with it. Oh no, now we're in space. Hold on, we're not just in space, we're in a little mind palace. So we have 7 days, which lasts... We have enough time that feels like 7 days in here to figure out what we gotta do.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I'm just vibing with the art. I really like this artist's style. It reminds me of Ottawa Schmidt.
It's good. It's good art.
Yeah.
What do you think happened with the mutants that the Shi'ar Empire did stuff with?
I think they're fucked up, but they're not dead.
Do you think the Shi'ar Empire will be pure bad guys after this, or do you think the Magistrix will fix it?
I think the Magistrix will fix it, but there will be an air of like, you fuck with us one more time, there's gonna be a war. Maybe set up for an event.
Okay. But overall, I've been enjoying it.
Mhm. Also, Cassandra Nova like proves herself as kind of a badass.
Yeah. So hey, you want to tell me about Killing Time?
Yeah, this is probably the most fun this book has been in a while because it's both just like more solid Catwoman and Riddler interaction, as well as Tom King finally, after having like played around with established lore throughout his entire run, just introducing a new villain. Like I really feel like the entire point of this book is just to like come up behind James Tynion and be like, that's how you do a new Batman villain.
What did
Because
James Tynion do wrong?
James Tynion James Tynion's whole thing was just like, here's a new villain every arc. I'm not going to play around with established lore because we need new villains in comics. Don't worry about if they're good or not. He did Punchline, he did Ghostmaker, he did all those fuckers.
Who was the really tall plant themey dude that James Gordon fought? Because he looks cool.
I think that's the Floronic Man.
Mm.
I'm not quite sure. But this guy on the cover that Batman's fighting on the hood of the Batmobile, this is the Help. And he's basically set up as like, he's a semi-immortal being who has fought and had experience with every fighter out there. And he's the guy who like the really rich villains call when things go wrong.
Is he a
like,
combat butler?
Yeah, basically. Like, literally, after the Penguin gets the shit kicked out of him by Riddler, he's in the hospital room, and one of his goons is like, oh, boss, don't worry, we're going to get you the best care there is, and we'll get those fuckers who messed with you. Don't worry, whatever it takes. And Penguin just writes on a note, because he's beaten up so badly he can't talk. And he hands the note to the goon, and he's like, oh yeah, oh, fuck. If that's what you want, boss, it's done. I'm on it. Damn. Those poor bastards. And then close up on the note, call the Help, kill them all. And the Help is like a really fun character in this issue too, because like he's constantly just trouncing the shit out of everybody while also analyzing their combat techniques and being like, oh, I see, that's a bit of Al Ghul, and you've got some Savage in you. Oh yes. Like he's being very like
it's like he's playing a chess game and he's recognizing the strategies.
Yeah, he's very well educated about everything he does. And he does kick the crap out of Batman, but he doesn't incapacitate him to the point of where it's like, oh, Batman's just out. It's like he knocks Batman out and is like, I have better things to do now, but there's probably going to be a rematch later in the book. Because a lot of this issue is the Help trying to figure out where Catwoman and Riddler went, where we're seeing that Catwoman and Riddler drove until they realized, oh, there's trackers in the Batmobile. They got out, stole a semi-truck, and drove the Batmobile off a cliff. And then Batman woke up after the Help got on their trail. Like, a few hours later, Batman wakes up, and he just goes to the nearest bar and pulls a Terminator 2. Like, he literally steals somebody's motorcycle and then leaves a check for the value of the motorcycle.
I mean, you can do that.
Yeah.
Signed, Batman.
Mm-hmm. Also, they're still building up the thing that that Catwoman and the Riddler stole. Is like, this is a big important object. It's basically established to be a mythical object stolen from. It was like a jewel placed on a. I'm trying to remember what this is. Like, I'd have to reread this whole thing. It's basically a biblical reference. A guy's sister died, and there was a jewel placed on her body in her coffin, and he stole that jewel because apparently it had immense power, and it's something people have been fighting over for eons. And that's what Catwoman and Riddler stole, and Penguin is now after. And also, the buyer is just some nobody fat cat who the help kills in like 2 seconds. Yeah. So yeah, this is a pretty interesting issue. Like, if you're not into Tom King tropes, I can't tell you much to sell you on this book, but like I'm enjoying it.
Fair enough. Well, Buster ain't here, so they can't talk about Friendly Neighborhood.
Damn.
So we'll just talk about the last book of the night. I am Iron Man.
So they just did every Iron Man story again, huh?
To an extent. Basically.
That's like, I know is that a Marvel's artist, man?
Alex Ross? Yes.
Yeah, is that an Alex Ross right there?
Yep. He's been doing the covers.
All respect to Alex Ross, but like that's just a shitty version of Demon in the Bottle right there.
So, Michael Korvac, super ultimate powerful being,
Yeah.
fucking has Tony Stark like this, going like, fuck you, and Tony Stark just goes like, dude, I'm fucking hopped up on fucking painkillers, bro. The fuck you doing? Oh, I'm gonna beat Iron Man. Fuck off! I'm in no condition to fight. It's fucking dumb. I always fuck myself over. Look at me. I push everyone away. I hate myself. I hate everyone. They hate me.
Oh, Tony. I mean, you're right, but Tony.
And now I'm just fucking. I fell off the wagon, but this time it's not booze. It's fucking painkillers. What the fuck's wrong with me? And what the fuck's wrong with you? Fucking Korvac. Have you ever tried to win anything without being a cyborg? Without cosmic power?
This just sounds like an episode of F is for Family.
Have you tried to do anything do anything like that, huh? Have you? And
I mean, look at that goon over there, Korvac. Christ, you cooked the shit out of him.
And he just basically goes like, the fuck are you doing? The fuck am I doing? The fuck are we doing here? And Korvac basically says nothing, lays Tony Stark down, depowers, and then fucks off. Tony wins by being fucking pathetic.
Tony wins by being a bitch.
It's great. And then Tony talks Hellcat into driving him to rehab. And he basically goes like, I feel like you're the only one who would have said yes. And she goes like, yeah, but I would have done it anyway. Basically saying like, yeah, you have burned a lot of bridges right now, but regardless, I would have done it for you anyway. I care about you. Yeah. And given enough time, they'll understand that you got to a dark place and they might forgive you. Basically talking about the other people that were in the book. Ben Reilly, War Machine, Frogman. And as we see Tony Stark basically settle into his room, ready to fucking go into rehab, do all the stuff, there's a little note on the desk that says, hey, Tony, I'm rooting for you. Frogman.
Hey. Boy.
This is the story that people think Demon in a Bottle's in. Because that's just one fucking issue. This is like, no, you see the consequences of his fucking actions. It is good. It's good. It's a good Iron Man story. Mm-hmm. It's the same Iron Man story, but it's a good Iron Man story.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, as much as we like our favorite heroes, there's like 3 Superman stories. There's like 4 Captain America stories. There's 1 Iron Man story. There's like maybe 5 Spider-Man stories, if we're being generous.
And the Iron Man story is Tony fucks up, Tony overcorrects the fuck up, that creates more fuck up.
Yeah.
That's Semen in a Bottle. That's this story. That's Armor Wars. That's Civil War.
Yeah.
That's Secret Avenger. That's Secret Invasion. That's the Illuminati. It's Tony fucked up. Tony overcorrects. It creates more fuck ups.
Mm-hmm. And the free Cap stories are like the origin. Ain't America great? Cap becomes disillusioned with modern America. Cap tries to reconnect with modern America.
The same Spider-Man stories are Spider-Man's being put through the ringer. Basically, he has to be Spider-Man for 24 hours, for 72 hours. He can't take. Everyone's chasing him. I would also, would you include Craven's Last Hunt in that? The description? Yeah.
Yeah, because people have tried to recreate Craven's Last Hunt since.
It's Spider-Man the Endurance Race.
Yeah.
Peter Parker is tempted not to be Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a couple others. That may be actually it. Everything goes wrong. But no, that's...
There's a lot of fucking Batman stories, though. I want to put a number on it.
Here's the thing. The reason why there's a lot of Batman stories is because Batman's generic as fuck and he can be anything.
Yeah.
It's because Batman can be James Bond. You know, Batman can be Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Batman can be anything because Batman's kind of nebulous.
Yeah.
Tell the people where they can find you.
Hey, I'm the vacuumator. I meant to open this toy tonight during the stream, but I forgot to. Oh,
you want to do it now?
Just spend 20 minutes opening this thing. No, it's late. Well, I'll do that at some point during the week, and I'll give you guys a brief review next week.
Okay.
In the meantime, you can check out my YouTube videos, youtube.com/vacuumator. You can follow me on Twitter at the vacuumator. You can follow me on Instagram at @_vacuumator, and you can subscribe to my Patreon. Guess what that is? I'll let you guess. Take a wild guess.
Vac loves horny dicks.
That is correct. I'm changing it to that right now.
Hey, the howdiest of howdies. I'm Chris A. Boingo Writer Gaston, and I do a variety of content on the internet. Would you like to see some Twitch streams? Twitch.tv/Boingo Writer. Would you like to see some YouTube content? Search for Boingo Writer. It's probably real easy to find me. Yeah. You want to see me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram? Boingo_Writer. Find me in the places. This has been a product of Modular Media. What? What's Modular Media? It's a place where we make a bunch of podcasts, including this one. And No More Games, where me and Buster talk about video games. And Components, where we talk about anything and everything. It's kind of just a more general life comedy podcast. And then there's Twit. Tell people about Twit.
I hate Power Rangers fans. They're bad people.
Good description. So if you'd like to support us and do all this kind of stuff, hey, give us a subscribe, like, and comment on this podcast/video. And until next time, where we'll be doing the next episode of Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and then after that, we'll be doing Obi-Wan.
Yeah, because the next MCU project is Miss Marvel.
After Obi-Wan.
Are you excited, everybody? Be excited for Miss Marvel. Be excited. Be excited. Be excited.
Why are you being super cynical about Miss Marvel all of a sudden?
Because Buster is, and I'm enjoying leaning into it.
All right, whatever. But till next time, do you have anything else you would like to say, V-Man?
All together now. When Captain America froze his mighty shield. Say it. Say the next line. Boingo.
Enough said.